gets colder with the air, and it gets hard to say the things that I don't mean. I can almost see when I'm looking back at me.
The beautiful colors of autumn are over, but this doesn't mean you as a landscape photographer can't enjoy autumn. You just need to find the perfect forest. And as you can see behind me and from the few B-roll intro shots, I have another foggy forest. It's a pine tree forest this time, but it's spooky, it's dark, it's creepy, and it looks awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Toma, Tom here on YouTube, and this channel is all about landscape photography. So if you're interested in this topic, make sure to subscribe for more similar videos. Now, if you want to support me, you can buy my landscape photography ebook, or you can join me for one of my workshops. All the details are on my website. The link is in the description of this video. Let's get back to our foggy forest. First shot that I'm gonna do is this one behind me. Let me just increase the ISO so you can see a little bit better. So that's the trail. It goes into the distance. I have two guardian trees, or one side and the other of the trail, and I will also use me as a silhouette over there just to give proportion to the place. The framing is going to be in portrait mode to emphasize how tall the trees are, and again, my silhouette is going to be for proportions. The settings for this photo are ISO 100, f11 and 6 seconds. So yeah, I had to stay as still as possible for 6 seconds. And after photographing a shot in portrait mode, I thought that it would be interesting to also have a horizontal format, because the light is coming from my right. In a situation like this, it's not always about the big picture like you're seeing in that direction. You can also pay attention to what is happening inside the forest. You can't see it because it's really dark, but there's a tree over there that has some dark orange brownish leaves on it, and it's surrounded by the trunks of the pine trees. It shows solitude. It's a little tree surrounded by all these big ones, and I think it looks so interesting to have a separation like that. I'm photographing the tree over there in the distance, and I'm doing a portrait framing because I want to emphasize how tall it is, and secondly, I don't want all the other distracting elements around it to get into my photo. Now, a good tip even in a situation like this, is to have your polarizer on, because there's a lot of glitter and shininess on the leaves that you can get rid of by using the polarizer. Now, the settings for this photo are f6.3, 0.6 seconds, and ISO 100. And the reason for f6.3 is to have a little bit of separation between the tree and the background trees, which are already in fog. But if I can get just a little tiny bit of difference in sharpness between the two planes, I think this will look a lot better. For this photo over here, I had the trail that goes into the distance, and then I have light coming from the left side of the photo and darkness on the right side of the photo. So as a tip, I think I'm always looking for areas that offer something different in terms of light or in terms of color. It's something that I'm always after. It's not necessary for you to absolutely have this kind of a situation, but it's my way of photographing. I'm trying to create an image that is dramatic. I'm not interested in duplicating nature. I think you can see it with your own eyes. What I'm interested in is offer you an interpretation of a landscape that could be there in a certain situation. I need some elements to work with in post to create that image. I don't like to add things that are not there. So if there is no light, I don't like to add light, but if there's a little bit of light, I like to emphasize it and make it more visible and create a higher contrast between light and darkness. I think the journey of a landscape photographer should be one of self-discovery, and in some occasions means to face your fears. I remember that not necessarily that many years ago, because 10 years or 8 years it's not that many years ago, but there was a time when I had a little bit of fear of entering a dark forest or a forest during the night by myself, or go hike in places where they're not tourists by myself. So it was a journey of self-discovery and learning what my limits are and trying to overcome those limits. Now, in terms of self-discovery, I think I can also talk about learning what you really like as a landscape photographer and photographing exactly that. And once you learn what you like, you try to find a better way to photographing it and present it to your audience. I think this is the way your style, your own personal style, will grow and evolve. And without this journey where you try to be conscious of what you're doing and to be a little bit philosophical, even if you're doing this only with your own thoughts, you're not expressing that with your audience. I think this is a good way of experiencing landscape photography, and not just going into nature and photographing it and never stop and admire what nature really is and what it has to offer. Another tip when you're photographing in the forest is to not only walk on the trail. There are trees that look really interesting and have interesting shapes, but you can't see them only from the trail. There are all sorts of possibilities, and you don't need to stay only on the trail, and nothing will happen if you leave the trail. The only good thing that will happen is that you will start to discover interesting trees and interesting compositions. So I think it's this is one of the this is one of the most important tips, because I notice this very often, that people tend to stay on the place they feel safer, and they don't try to explore the forest in directions where the routes are not marked. I think this is the most interesting photo that I did today, up until now at least. Over there, there's a small tree with some dark brownish reddish leaves. Okay, but the interesting thing is that it sits behind another tree, a tree that has a really big trunk. So it looks like those red leaves, or dark brown red leaves, are coming out that really thick trunk, and it looks so much better when you're having a situation like this. I think this is by far the most interesting photo that I did today, and the settings are f11 1.6 seconds and ISO 100, so it's still fairly dark in the forest. It's not important to complain about not having the perfect forest to photograph. It's more about searching for the perfect conditions to photograph that forest. It's true, I like fog, and whenever there is fog, I'm in the forest photographing it. And I think fog, it's by far the best situation in which you can be when you're photographing the forest. The interesting trees, you're always going to find it. What else? Interesting colors, contrast between colors, the green of the ferns and the brownish reddish color of the leaves. So these kind of things, there will be in every forest, but the atmospheric conditions you have to go after. Before you go, please leave a comment or like the video. Until next time, keep on photographing, because it's the only way to get better. Bye bye.